As we head into 2023 in a more balanced housing market, a lot of sellers are starting to think about ways to make their home stand out to buyers who now have a bit more inventory to choose from. So if you really want to get an edge on the competition, you may have to do a little sprucing up in order to make sure that your home is the one that the buyers drool over. And yeah, I know that when you're selling your home, you're trying to make money and not spend money. So today, I'm going to give you a few ways to make your home more attractive to buyers without totally busting your budget. Hi there, I'm Stephanie Frost, and as you might have guessed by now, I'm a real estate agent here in Ocala, Florida. And this is my channel where I talk about all things real estate in the Ocala and Marion County area. Now, it would be super easy to make your home a buyer magnet by completely replacing the kitchen and the bathrooms, or adding on more square footage, or putting in a brand new pool. But most of us don't want to shell out the cash to get quite that elaborate. And quite frankly, you're not likely to get dollar for dollar return on most of those things anyway. But luckily for you, there are ways to increase your home's value, even if you're on a fairly tight budget. And look, I'm not so much talking about staging here, although I do talk about staging in another video, and shameless plug, you should definitely watch that one too. Most of what I'm talking about today does actually require a little bit of cash and probably a little bit of effort on your part. But just think how good it's going to feel when your house sells right away, while that annoying neighbor's house up the street sits on the market for month after month. And obviously, you probably won't want or need to do everything I'm going to talk about today. Although if you could, it would probably be amazing. But by the time I'm done, you should have some pretty solid ideas about what you can do and where to start. So first up on the list is curb appeal. After all, the first thing that buyers are going to see when they drive up to your home is the outside, and that sets the tone for the whole experience. If the outside of your house looks like it's been abandoned for the last 6 months, with grass that's more dirt than sod and shrubs that could stand in as a set for the latest wildlife documentary, well, let's face it, it is not going to work out well for you. Throw some grass seed out, water it like you're not actually paying a water bill, and trim up all the shrubbery. Replace anything that's too far gone, and strongly consider adding in some color to your landscaping. If your mailbox looks like it's been run over and propped back up a time or two, get a new one. They're cheap. And if your home's exterior is really dingy, rent a pressure washer and get to washing. And while you're at it, knock out the driveway, sidewalk, and the windows too. And a really good way to make your front porch pop? Slap a fresh coat of paint on the front door and then pick up a couple of inexpensive pots off Amazon, fill them full of bright, colorful plants, and stick them on either side of the door with a nice new welcome mat in the middle. You'll be amazed at what a difference it makes. Inside the house, go through and make a list of all the damaged areas that you see. And be honest with yourself and try to see your home like a stranger would. Or better yet, go grab a friend and let them do it for you. Well, okay, maybe a neighbor, because a friend might not want to hurt your feelings by pointing out issues. And when we live in a home for a while, we all tend to get a little blind to some things that probably should have been addressed a while back. So be on the lookout for things like dirty AC ducts, leaking faucets, damaged door hinges, or door jams. And then take that list and get everything fixed. A good handyman can probably take care of all of it in just a couple hours. And remember that time that you did that quick electrical wiring job when you were short that one extra space on the panel? Yep. Now would be a good time to have an electrician do it right, before the buyers get there and find it for themselves. When's the last time you painted your walls? Odds are it's been a while. So if your walls have seen better days, well, you know the drill. Hire a professional painter or bribe your friends and family with a pizza party, whatever it takes. And stick to nice neutral colors. They don't have to be white, but now is not the time to try the latest paint color trend. Let the buyers do that for themselves later. And while we're at it, let's talk about flooring. One of the most common requests that I get from buyers here in Florida is a home with tile or other hard flooring throughout. In a pinch, most people will settle for carpet in the bedrooms if they have to, but most of my buyers prefer not to have carpet anywhere. Which is not to say that if your home has carpet, you absolutely have to pull it all up and install new floors. But if the carpet's in bad shape and in need of replacement anyway, you might consider some other type of flooring. Yeah, and it's an expense, but it'll pay off. And that luxury vinyl plank flooring that they have nowadays is not only durable, it's also really attractive, relatively inexpensive, and pretty darned easy to install. And buyers love it. I even have clients buying brand new homes who are requesting LVP instead of tile in their new builds. And these are some pretty high-end homes. Now off to the kitchen, because this is kind of a make it or break it room. Now obviously a complete kitchen reno probably isn't in the cards, but even if your kitchen is a bit dated, there are some things that will help it look just a little more attractive to buyers. First of all, matching appliances are a big plus here. You don't have to go out and buy all new ones, but if your fridge and your oven are stainless steel, but the dishwasher's white, or even worse, that 70s avocado green, they do make dishwashers in stainless. Just saying. If your cabinets have seen better days and new ones aren't really an option, consider new cabinet doors or even having the old ones painted. You could even do it yourself if you're handy. Just make sure that you sand and prep the doors really well, because a bad paint job is probably worse than no paint job at all. And while you're at it, replace that old ugly hardware with something more modern. I've seen some really amazing kitchen transformations that really weren't much more than painting the existing cupboards and replacing the hardware. Another inexpensive fix that makes a big impact is to replace that old kitchen faucet with a brand new one that has a little more pizzazz, and maybe even put in a new backsplash. Tile's pretty cheap, and it's not all that hard to do as long as you stick to the basics. No fancy patterns that you have to match up or fancy shapes that you have to cut. The home improvement store sells some pretty great tiles that are already mounted on a mesh backing, so you can just cut the mesh to fit and slap them up. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and I don't have any special training doing tile. And if you have a bigger budget to work with, I have not had a single buyer yet go through a home and say, "Oh, darn, this house has stone countertops. If only it had Formica." Now the bathrooms. Even if your bathrooms are a bit on the older side, there are still some things that you can do to help them make a good impression. Obviously, a good thorough deep cleaning is a must, but also check for any grout or caulking that needs replaced anywhere. If your bathroom is an interesting color, like pink or baby blue, well, there are places that can reglaze your tile fairly inexpensively. Here again, new fixtures and faucets can go a long way in the updates department. Same thing with new lighting fixtures and mirrors. They don't have to be expensive to make your bathroom look like a whole new room, and just a few small fixes can have a huge impact on buyers. Now in the rest of the house, updating lighting fixtures can make a huge difference, and also just pay close attention to how each room presents itself. A bonus room in a home is a huge plus, but a lot of buyers have trouble figuring out what to do with it or what it's there for. So help them figure it out by giving it a concrete purpose, like a home office. So many buyers are working from home these days, an office can be a big plus. Or you could make it a game room or workout room or even a library. Just make it look like something other than this big, huge empty space. If you have a dining room, even if you don't use it for a dining room yourself, and a lot of people don't, make sure that it looks like a dining room to buyers. So there you have it. A whole bunch of usable ideas to make your home stand out in a sea of other homes on the market. And like I said earlier, you don't have to do all of them, or any of them for that matter. But unless your home is fairly new and in absolute tip-top shape, you should probably consider doing at least a couple of them. And if you're not sure which ones you should do in your home, I'd be happy to stop by and give you some advice, free of charge. You can thank me later. So until next time, take care, and I'll see you soon.